Hi, so the YouTube censors strike again. I put out a video a month or so ago entitled A Beginner's Guide to a Rounded View on Tommy Robinson. Not as a Tommy Robinson supporter, but by someone who can see where he's coming from and can also at the same time see things to be concerned about him. And YouTube has now put that in restricted mode. Now, you might speculate, could this have anything to do with Tommy Robinson now standing as a candidate for the European Parliament, as an independent candidate for the European Parliament? Probably not. I mean, Brian of London put out his own version of that video. He changed it about a bit, did a voiceover, just made it more watchable, and he changed the end where I had put whether or not Tommy Robinson is far right, blah blah blah. He changed that to Tommy Robinson is not far right. We disagree about Tommy Robinson, but both he and I are Democrats with a different view on him. Now, I've sent another appeal. The previous video that they'd censored, putting in restriction mode, was exposing the falsehoods that the Guardian journalist Nesrine Malik said about Tommy Robinson, saying that he jumped on the bandwagon about grooming gangs, and I just intercut her falsehoods with recordings of Tommy Robinson talking about grooming gangs long before it came into the mainstream. And according to YouTube, that incited hatred and promoted violence. Social media fascists. I'll put down what I put in my appeal. They're going to ignore it like they did my last one. My last appeal was only someone on the far left could restrict my video on the grounds that it was restricted on. Dear YouTube, this video has been censored for inciting hatred and promoting violence. No fair-minded person would remotely consider this is the case. It is political censorship. You are fraudulently trading as an open platform. You freely allow Simon Harris to incite hatred against Jews by promoting the Protocols of Zion forgery, yet censor a video that presents a rounded view on Tommy Robinson from a critic. If Corbyn comes to power, big tech social media will help him to impose tyranny. While I'm at it, I might as well say a bit about Tommy Robinson's candidature for the European election. I believe that Tommy Robinson is genuinely a Zionist, and it's not just what I perceive, but it's what I see in social media. There's quite a number of genuinely far-right anti-Semitic people, like the Reverend Simon Sideways, who is an apologist for Holocaust deniers, and some Winston Smith taxi driver guy who's clearly very Nazi sympathetic at least. There's quite an anti-Semitic far-right orbit around him, hoping to exploit him. And I think Tommy Robinson is perfectly well aware of that and willingly aligns himself with those people, despite being a Zionist, because he thinks they will help bring him the power that he wants. So, as ever, a lot of respect for Tommy Robinson. He speaks the truth about Islam, but a lot of concern about where things would go if the country ever turned to him. I don't think his solution to Islamization is going to be a democratic one. I think it will end up in tyranny. And Tommy Robinson could easily put that to rest. If he wants the support of Middle Britain, all he has to do is to say in each speech he gives in his Euro election campaign that anyone who hates Jews that wants to vote for him, he doesn't want their vote. They can vote for the anti-Semite Corbyn instead. New Nazi Labour is the natural home for anti-Semites to go for. He could easily do that. I don't think he's going to. I think he is cynically making the most of the far-right support he knows that he has. And I would just end with a thought that I've been out of Britain for more than 15 years, so whereas I could just vote in the Brexit referendum in favour of Brexit just at the time, I can't vote in this Euro election. I've got to vote in Spain, so I'll probably put Brexit on my Spanish ballot paper. But it could be a positive thing if Tommy Robinson does get elected, because as much as I would be voting Brexit Party if I could vote, no one of prominence who can make a difference is talking about the Islamification of Britain. And if that isn't tackled, and if the drastic measures are not taken that are needed to reverse it, 30 years' time we will end up in fully blown civil war. Tommy Robinson is talking about it, and you can rely on him to do so. So regardless of what his end game may be, if it's a choice between dimmified quislings getting elected to the Euro Parliament and a forthright person like Tommy Robinson with perhaps a dodgy agenda, I would prefer the latter. If he genuinely doesn't want anything to do with the far right, wants the far right parasites that leech onto him to just leech off and go and support Corbyn where every Semite should go, all he has to do is to say what every Zionist can see. The best defence of Britain is the defence of Israel. Jerusalem is the cradle of Western civilization. Our values, our Judeo-Christian values of love and forgiveness, are what made Britain a great nation. And if we're going to reclaim their values and make Britain great again as a nation, we need to be rock solid in defence of the Jewish state of Israel. And if that is what Tommy Robinson is really about, he's going to make that clear every time he speaks in this Euro election, that if you love Britain, you will love Israel. Everyone who believes in Western civilization, whether Jew or Gentile, has a dual loyalty with Israel. But Tommy Robinson's not going to do that. Tommy Robinson wants his closet far right support. See if I'm right or wrong about that.